Good evening and welcome to the Rangers Rabble St Johnstone preview pod. Tonight we're joined by the two Scots and Stephen. How's it going, guys?
I know.
Fine, Wally.
Right, guys. Right, may as well just jump straight into it. Obviously, the guys have had their Celtic reaction, so if anybody's a bit kind of half drunk or whatever, it's all right. We'll try and get through it as quickly as possible. So straight into the league game, obviously now that today's results confirmed, it's going to be St Johnstone twice in the space of 3 or 4 days. Looking at St Johnstone's last 10 games, it's 7 wins, 2 defeats and 1 draw. So clearly a team that's playing quite well. Is this potentially the toughest draw we could have got, do you think, Scott Kerr?
It probably is, Willie, because I think this season in general, since Callum Davidson's took over, they've actually progressed under them because he sets their stall out really well. He plays to the players' strengths. He knows he's not getting any outstanding players, but he plays a system that suits them. And you can see by the results over the last while how good they've been. They're consistent. They're hard to beat, and they've always given us tough games, to be honest with you. I mean, players like Murray Davidson's not great, but they always play well against Rangers. The boys at the back are good. They've got Big Xander Clark in goals, and they're always a goal threat as well up front. Doesn't matter if Stephen May plays or whoever plays, but they're a decent team, and I think we'll have to be at our best to beat them. I do think we will beat them, but depending on the changes on Wednesday, I think there will be changes on Wednesday, so we'll see what team Stephen Gerrard picks first of all.
Stevie, in terms of what Scott said there, do you think the manager does need to look to rotate it now that he's going to be playing the same team potentially twice in 3 or 4 days?
I think so. I think he did kind of touch on that a wee bit himself today after the game and that. And I would quite like to see that. I'd quite like to see a couple of boys come in and maybe freshen up a wee bit and try and take the load off a couple of the guys, and then to give us a fresh go again at the Cup. And because I think obviously the Cup's going to become the most important part now. I know some people maybe talk about this sort of league form and the unbeaten, but for me it's got to be the Cup. We've got to take precedent, and I'd like to see a fresh start going into that as well, and giving that the best goal we can. And even with rotation, I would feel quite comfortable with the players we could bring in to give a good game against St Johnstone as well. Like I know, like you're saying there about their form, and Davidson's done a good job. Because I know when he first came in, it was a bit shaky at the start. It took him a bit of time to get going, which is probably natural. But you'd like to think the quality Rangers have got can maybe offset their form, and we still have more than enough to do them in the night.
Scott Young, what about yourself, mate? Do you feel the same way that we're going to have to try and rotate the squad just to make sure everybody's fresh for the Cup game?
Yeah, just on what Stephen said. Yeah, I'd fully change the team. Probably 3 or 4 changes. Maybe not. Probably wouldn't play Davis because he's 35, playing 3 games in 7 days. Can't be good for him. And I probably wouldn't play Morelos. I'd probably start Roof. But yeah, I do think we should rotate. Maybe see Scott Wright get his first league start. Players like that. Because I fully think the Cups should be our main priority. Obviously, going unbeaten in the league would be great, but I'd rather win a Scottish Cup and lose a league game than go unbeaten in the league and no win the Scottish Cup.
Yeah, I think that is the case, mate. I think when you look at what's left this season, the Cup has to be deemed to be the priority. I know we all want to win all our games, but I think if the manager has the option to maybe rest players on Wednesday night, he probably will take that chance, in my opinion. You're looking at the previous games against St Johnstone, it was 3-0 at Ibrox earlier on this season, and then a 3-0 victory away from home, and then obviously the last league game was just a 1-0 victory. Are these games maybe closer than what the results suggest, and that in a one-off tie, given what St Johnstone have already done this year in the League Cup, that they're going to be dangerous, Scott Kerr?
They will be. Well, I think what Scott and Stephen have both said. I know we'll rest players on Wednesday night. I might bring in players, but I think St Johnstone will do the same, because in the back of their mind, if they get a cup double, that'd be phenomenal for them this season. They get a cup double, and Callum Davidson gets so much praise for it. So I think they'll rest players on Wednesday night. So I think the focus for both sides, both managers and the players, will be on Saturday's cup game, because they both want to go through. And I think, like Scott says as well, I'd rather win the Cup and go through the season undefeated, because I think getting the League and Cup double this season would be tremendous for us, especially after we've not won for ages. So I think the League and the Cup double would be fantastic.
Yeah. What about yourself, Scott Young? Do you feel the same way that on Wednesday night, if we were to, say, like lose the game or draw the game, that's just pretty insignificant compared to the Cup tie on like the Saturday or the Sunday, for instance?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, as I said earlier, I would rather lose on Wednesday than lose at the weekend. Obviously, I don't want to lose any, but if I had to choose one to lose, it would be Wednesday rather than the weekend. And just on St Johnstone, obviously St Johnstone are no mugs. Good team. Obviously won the League Cup. They're not in the top 6 for no reason. They must be they're probably a good side. They gave us a couple of games. That 1-0 game, which was was a touch and go game for a lot of it. McGregor obviously had to make a couple of good saves, as he's often done this season. So St Johnstone are a good team, but I do feel fully back us to go to Perth and get 3 points.
Stevie, what about yourself, mate? What changes do you see the team making for Wednesday night?
I think Scott Young anyway was just spot on there when he was saying about Davis maybe getting dropped for a game. It's maybe a big ask for him to play again. I can't see much change, to be honest, in the back four. I think we'll probably go with what we've got, but I'd maybe see Morelos out or maybe Kent out as well or something, to be honest. Maybe we just freshen up. I think he's right. I think Scott Wright's probably got a good shout to start. I'd also like to see him start. I'd like to see more minutes, him to get more minutes and maybe get a better look at him again. So I think it is just a case of sort of freshening it up and just keeping things ticking over for the cup game as well. But I think what you're saying there, and I've never actually really thought about it, is could be quite a weird game if St Johnstone also drop a few players and rest a few guys. It could be a weird actual sort of like B team sort of game sort of thing. So it will be interesting to see. But there is guys in there I'm looking forward to seeing. Roof maybe starting as well. He never started today. So there's definitely options there, and there's definitely strength and depth, to be honest, that is enough for us to give a good performance.
Yeah. Right, okay, we're just gonna swiftly move along a wee tiny bit. I know I'd said earlier that maybe we wouldn't talk about the Celtic game, but we'll kind of briefly talk about it in terms of how that affects now the next 2 games, for instance. So, like, given what the players have put in today, and given obviously the physical effort the players have put in, but obviously the other side of it is the confidence build up, another big one for us. Is it then, from the other point of view, that you just want to keep on winning, so you put out the strongest team, or is it one of those ones where the manager's then got to think that overall, because of the cup games and how quickly they're coming about, that maybe it's time, for instance, because we've got Nathan Patterson, who looks like he's probably going to get some type of ban, so Tav has to come back in. Obviously, we can't even really rest Borna because if Nathan gets banned, then Calvin's banned, so we can't change that either. Is it a matter of trying to just maybe take Stephen Davis out of the team, take Alfredo out of the team, maybe take Kent out of the team, and give guys like Scott Wright and Hadji, and maybe even like sort of drop a Rebo back into the midfield, of the type of changes that we'll look towards because of what's happened today?
Well, I think you're maybe spot on, but I also think Stephen Gerrard maybe not change as much as we're thinking here.
Yeah.
Just for the fact he done it against St Mirren, it kind of backfired, and he'll probably want to win the cup. So I feel he'll make a few changes. Obviously, Nathan Patterson's going to get a ban, we know that, so he'll be away. So Tav will come back in. I don't think we might maybe up front, maybe Davis, but I don't think it'll be a lot. I think Harfield maybe needs another game as well to get a bit of fitness back. Aribo, I don't like him in all the park. I prefer him in the front three, Aribo. So I would keep him up there. I don't think it'll be a lot of changes. Might be 1 or 2, but I don't think it'll be as many as we think. At the end of the day, football players want to play.
Yeah.
And after winning, it's confidence in them. They don't want to be dropped. And I know we all like to see changes, but if we made too many and we lost the game, people would criticise them for it, even though we won the league. So I'll probably a bit of both, but not as many as we think.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Like, you always look at it from like the side of maybe trying to rest and recuperate, in terms of, is it best to give guys an extra couple of days rest ahead of the big cup game? But the reality is, obviously, when you're a Rangers fan, we want to win every game, and that's the tough thing the manager's got to try and pick and choose that, isn't it? And like, also, you've got Alan McGregor's huge penalty save today, but would it be wrong to then maybe put like John McLaughlin in on Wednesday night and give Alan a break, or because they've already had the break before the Celtic game, that they then don't need a break? Come to you, Stevie.
I mean, I think so. I get what you guys are saying, where there's a sense that you don't want to split up a winning team that are going and you get momentum. I think we're lucky in the fact that, so for example, like Scott Wright, who is he must be so eager to get in this team, that'll kind of negate that fact, where it's a sense that he's not going to come in and it's like a complete drop off in quality, or somebody's just coming in to get the last few games for the end of the season, where they're completely, their goal is to get into this team, and I think that maybe offset that side of things. But I can see what you're saying, but the sort of the feeling I get from it is that these players are probably biting at the bit to get in and get in the team and to go for it. So I don't see I don't see it would be a massive drop off in like intensity for the players if we were to make a few changes.
Scott Young, what about yourself? Do you foresee maybe like that, somebody like Alan McGregor maybe getting a rest on Wednesday night?
Yeah, I definitely think McGregor getting dropped is probably inevitable, because I think what would have happened is Gerrard would have promised McLaughlin majority of the cup games, and obviously McGregor played today because obviously it's Celtic, you can't. So then I think he'll start on Wednesday, sort of make up for him missing out on today's cup game. And also, the thing is, we've got a very good squad. It's not as if it can be a massive drop in quality if we take out a Kent for a Scott Wright, or a Morelos for a Roof, or someone like that. So it's not as if it's a massive drop off in quality in terms of player for player.
Right. Just kind of flicking back to today's game partially. We're talking about somebody like Nathan Patterson's performance again. How difficult is it for the manager now to look at Nathan and not pick him ahead of Tav? Or is it just quite simple that obviously Tav's our captain and he's going to play most of the game, Scott Kerr?
I think it will be. I think Tav as a captain, he's been consistent for the last few seasons. We've always said, well, if he's not there, that's when you realise what you miss. Nathan stepped in. He's been fearless. He's played without any fear. He's come in like he's a seasoned professional. I think like missing the games because of getting banned is going to be a kind of saving point for Gerrard for a while. But I think next season, Nathan will probably accept a season behind Tav. But I think after that, he'll probably say, listen, I want to be in the first team. So it's going to be a decision the manager may have to make then to say, listen, do we continue with Tav in here or do we go with a youngster? But because Tav's been signed up, it could also be a saving for us. We can sell him on for a bit of money. So I think it's going to be a hard decision. We'll see how Nathan goes. I think what we've seen so far, he's fantastic. He's tremendous ability, his confidence, he's both ends of the pitch. He's been really good. So we'll see how he goes next season, because yourself, coming into a team and proving at the start, you're always full of energy. Don't pay with any fear, like I said, but next season, doing it again is a total different kettle of fish. So we'll see how he goes. He's got all the assets there. So hopefully he does, because I think, like Cammy said earlier on today, if he does that, he could be the Rangers right back for a long, long time.
Stevie, what do you think of Nathan Patterson? What is his future in terms of Rangers next season? Is it possibly they look at him early doors and then maybe towards the end of the window potentially loan him out if he's not getting games, or is it just a simple one that he's going to play because Tav's going to get rested from time to time?
It's a tough one, isn't it? Because you wonder how you're going to manage it, because majority of the time Tav's very robust. He doesn't drop many games. He's playing week in, week out, and he's probably at a stage of his career where he wants to be playing week in, week out. So there's the manager's got to manage that aspect of it. I do agree. I think if we could get the right club for Patterson, I would say maybe a year's loan for him or 6 months, but it would have to be, I wouldn't like to see him going, I'd like to maybe see a championship level sort of club for him where he's really pushing himself. I wouldn't like to see him going down the levels too much, but it's a tough one because he's came in and he's done better than I expected. I think he's a different sort of player going forward to Tav, whereas Tav whips the ball in. I feel like Patterson gets the ball into players' feet really well and runs off players, and so he gave us a different dynamic, and that's another sort of side of where you're seeing a player come in and they're just desperate to do well, and that's that having those players in the background just dying to get into the team, it just really pushes everybody on. And I'd imagine Tav's maybe sitting there thinking, like, I've got a job in my hand to get this shirt back, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think that's the kind of crazy thing. I mean, I think obviously we've appealed this decision to allow Tav a little bit more time to come into the team, but the way that Nathan's played, if Nathan wasn't going to be getting a ban in 2 days' time, there's probably an argument for Nathan keeping that position ahead of Tav just because of how well he's playing. Scott Young, how impressed have you been with Nathan since he's broke into the team?
Yeah, I think he's been top draw. We saw a glimpse of it last season, playing the cup against Shinra, and thought he was probably our best player. And then after that, he didn't really play. And obviously we've seen him come in this season, go against Antwerp, and was it 15, 16 seconds or something after coming off a bench. And then since then, it's really kicked him on to being a very good Rangers right back. And to be fair, I probably wouldn't loan him out. I reckon Tav would, I reckon Patterson would learn more in the training ground with Tav every week than he would playing week in, week out for a Falkirk or a Partick Thistle or a team at that level. I think he'd probably learn more with Tav and Gerrard and Gary Mack than he would out and loan playing against Farmers and people like that every week.
Yeah, look, I think that's obviously the argument you've got from both sides. Like, so one of the arguments would be that if Davey could get a good loan to somewhere in England, maybe like the English Championship, would that be beneficial for him and Rangers, even if it was only for a 6-month stint potentially? Or because of how well he's developed under Tav and under the current defence, does it make more sense to keep him here and obviously keep working with the players that he's got here? Because is he going to play with that same standard of players when he goes out on loan? And I think the argument would be probably not. And when you look at the size of our squad, and for all, like Stevie makes a fabulous point, I mean, Tav has been robust ridiculously over the last 5 or 6 years. I mean, the guy basically just doesn't miss a game. But he is getting that little bit older now, and do we have to almost protect him in some games? And it's no disrespect to maybe the teams that Nathan would come in against, but there is definitely a time and a place for saying to Tav, look, we're going to put you in the bench, or we're going to rest you up today because we need to look after you over a 50, 55, 60 game season. And I think it's definitely something that we've got to look forward to come the summer. Okay, just looking back a small bit about today's game. I know I wasn't going to get into it too much because obviously we've had the reaction. When you see like the final score in that game and you see like the confidence levels of our players, does this feel like a different Rangers team to you than even the team that started the season? I'll come to you first, Scott Young.
Yeah, definitely. I think over the course of the season, we've seen confidence improve. We've seen tactically structure we've improved. We managed to nullify their system, which caught us out earlier in the season twice, in 2 games. We caught out the game at Ibrox where we need Alan McGregor to make our masterclass, and the one at Celtic Park we need him again. They played a diamond both those games, and that sort of hurt us. But today I think Michael Beale, Stephen Gerrard, Gary Mack need massive credit for the way they set the team up today. And yeah, since the start of the season, we've just gone on leaps and bounds. The game is Aberdeen, first game of the season, wasn't great. Managed to dig out a 1-0, but now we've just grown in confidence since then, and we've been so much better since. And obviously, going the season unbeaten, you can't downplay that as much as people try to.
Stevie, was there any thought in your mind at all that we weren't going to win today?
Do you know, I wasn't sure if I'm being honest with you. Looking back at the last 2 Old Firm games, I felt like we struggled to get into the games at certain times, but I think the way they came out and the way they played today, and the majority of the game, I thought they were good. You could see they were up for it, and I think the biggest thing from this season as well is from like last season is it's a mentality shift. I think at Rangers now, I think that's where it comes from. It's a hunger for victory and winning and trophies, and that's what's important. The rest of it is the other noise is just irrelevant, and that's and I think that's where that's really came from, and that's what gives me a confidence when I watch this team is that they've learned how to get through these games, and how, because at times where Celtic had good opportunities today and they just managed to get through it, and we pushed. That's the main thing, and that's what will keep us going for years going forward, hopefully, and that's the sort of thing we need to keep a hold of.
Scott Kerr, what about yourself? Have you noticed a difference in terms of the confidence levels from the players even from 2 or 3 months ago to now?
I think you noticed that against Celtic probably a couple of years we started playing them. I think they've not beat us since 2019. And I think the fact with Rangers is we weren't scared of Celtic anymore. But it was the rest of the teams we were maybe struggling against, Aberdeen, Hibs, teams like that. But we've managed to get past that phase. So, I mean, I've gone to Old Firm games now, and I used to get nervous. And the last few years you were thinking, oh no, we're going to get gubbed again. See, the last few games, I've not been as nervous because I don't fear Celtic. I don't think they're the team they were. And even if they were good, I think we're a lot better. So I think the players actually sense that, because I thought today we weren't great at times. Celtic had their chances, but we never looked like we were going to get beat. Do you know what I mean? Well, we had quality. We scored 2 goals. They had chances, yes, but I think there was also scope there for Rangers to step it up again. Because every time Kane get the ball, they were scared. And I just think we've like, mentality-wise, culture-wise, everything about the club at the moment is in a great place and it's going forward. So I think there's been a big change, especially since Gerrard's come in. Yeah, it's taken him a few seasons, but he's made such a difference in a short space of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, just add on that there a second. Is what you're saying there, Scott. I totally agree. Is like, see in this Rangers Celtic games, see for the last few years, I think the players have fancied it. and I think they know they've been able to get them because, like the cup fight, and I know we lost the cup final last year or whatever, but that one, there's games at Parkhead, they've been going for them, and I think the confidence has been there, and they've went, we know we can get at these teams, and you're right, it's just doing that over a full season and beating the other teams around about it, and then that's what, and then I think from the loss of not getting the victories we deserved the other times or losing the cup, it's actually spurred them on to be like, this is how we win titles, and that's just, it's just grew from there really.
Yeah. No, and I think that's a great point. I think when it's not just about winning things, it's about how you win it. And I think this season shows that, like, the way that we've won games, the way that we've, won the league title, it's huge in terms of our players' confidence. And I think even in games now where possibly we fall behind, which I know has been rare this season, but even when we fall behind, there's still that confidence. Maybe it's an arrogance at times that we're good enough to come back and get something out of the game or possibly win it. But then there's also the other side of the coin is, see when we get like 2 goals ahead like today, I don't think there's even a thought or a concern that we're going to drop points or we're going to draw or lose a game, whether it's in the cup or the league. I don't think there's that thought now. I think as soon as we get our foot in front and we're starting to take a bit of control of games, I think there's just a huge belief now amongst the whole squad that we're in a great spot, we're in the lead, nobody's going to get close to us. And I do wonder if that's a mindset that's going to be there for the foreseeable future, because when you look at the players, and also as Scott Young spoke about before the pod started, if the rumours are true about Connor signing until 2024, and obviously Tav's already re-signed, obviously there's other players there, is this really just the beginning of something special moving forward, Scott Kerr?
Hopefully, well, like, remember when Souness first came in, the first couple of signings were, he brought in Butcher, he brought in Woods, I know he brought in Colin West, didn't really last that long, but he built for the back, and Gerrard seemed to do the same. He's obviously, Connor Golson's been a great signing. I remember when he first came in, he got a bit of criticism, but he never misses a game, he never shuts a tackle, he doesn't hide away from responsibility, and I think to even get somebody next to him who's consistent as he is will be a very hard side to beat. And I think Hellander's get his good points, his bad points, Balogun's the same. Obviously, Jack Simpson, I don't know what he'll be like. We'll have to wait and see. But somebody just with Connor, we've got full backs. Obviously, we don't know if Barisic is going to go or not. I think that's 50-50 when we need a left back in. But I think just the squad in general is just superb. And you just look up the park, we've got midfielders, but I know Ryan Jack's missing, but the midfield's been good. The forwards have been good. I mean, now Morelos has carried us the last couple of seasons, goal-wise, and just main focus. But this season, we're scoring goals for everywhere. And I think the full structure of the squad, the team, whatever you want to call it, it's just totally different this season. I think last season gave them it was more we have to look at ourselves kind of way, because after we come back from Dubai, they kind of faltered, they failed. And we didn't, Celtic didn't beat us, we beat ourselves. And they've come out this season and said that's not going to happen again. Granted, the COVID thing put that kibosh to kind of trips, but we've come out of season totally focused on winning stuff, and we've been quiet behind the scenes, and that's what I love about this Rangers side.
What about yourself, Scott Young? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, just as sort of just to echo what Guy's been saying, I think this season we have seen a massive sort of shift in the way we've gone about our business. Like even I remember the transfer window, there wasn't a lot of rumours about the players we signed. Balogun, it was basically in the paper, oh, Rangers are going to sign Balogun, and an hour or two later he was announced. So there's been a lot of difference in the way we've gone up. Like we've been a lot quieter and gone about business, kept all of our business in house as we should do, because things like transfer, like even today, Connor Goldson's contract announcement, I'll probably get announced tomorrow. If that was 2-3 years ago, be Connor Goldson going to sign a new deal in the paper for 2-3 weeks before it actually happens.
Yeah.
So the way we've gone about business has been very good, I think.
I was just going to say to you, Steve, quickly, how important is it to get somebody like Golson tied down to a long-term deal?
It's massive. He's the part of he's a cog in the spine of the team sort of thing, and that's huge to have that. And if you want to have sustained success, in my opinion anyway, over a few years and to grow a team, you need to have that spine. And that the bonus of that gives to you, I think, is that see if you've got the spine right, all you need to do every summer or every other window is a bit of quality here and there and just touch the team up every so often where you need it. And it's about a culture as well. I remember I was watching something the other day and it was something about if you've got a strong culture, which I think Rangers do now, when new players come in, they take that culture on, and if you've got people like Goldson and whoever else, Davis and McGregor, who always are driving that culture, and the new ones coming in, they just absorb that, and then we just go on and it keep going on, and that's how it keeps churning it out. And I think that's one of the big things for that. And not only is he a good player, and he's been in our team all week, and he's like Tavernier, never drops a game. You can trust him. There's that aspect of a leader in there as well, which is huge for us, and it just sends that out, that message to the rest of the players, and hopefully people like Kamara as well, as we want to be building something here. This is a success for a few years, and where else can you really go to get the same level of success at times? Maybe if, like, for example, like Goldson's came from Brighton, if you were to go back to Brighton, you'll not have the same feeling, in my opinion, as winning trophies.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great point, and I think, obviously in this day and age, obviously money's important. Clearly it is. Obviously when guys can maybe get that one or last big payday potentially, it's hard to be critical of players. But then you've also got the other side of the coin where it's not often in your career you get the chance to join a team where you could be hugely successful. And when you've retired, you can get a wee, sort of cabinet in your bedroom, or whatever, a wee great games room, and you get your 10 titles there or something like that. That to me is more important than having, say, £10 million in the bank. Not that I'll ever have that kind of money, clearly, but it's just like, to me, I would rather be a winner and have less money than have 10 times what I've got in my account but having won nothing. Because I think that, like, success as a footballer is to win something. If our goals in this season, if he could come away with a double, and then next season we can get stronger, and the season after that, to me that is everything that you want as a footballer. And I think the big thing, we look at somebody like Connor and somebody like Taver, I'm not getting any younger either. So this deal that they're signing takes them into their 30s. So I mean, it's a big deal for these guys clearly as well. But that's obviously on the back of Stephen Davis and Alan McGregor signing their new deals. And as you pointed out, that's the spine of your team there. So moving forward, as you say, it would be phenomenal if we could get Glenn on a new deal. I do think he's the one I worry about most, because I just think he's not silly, Glenn. He clearly knows he's playing well. He clearly will know that teams are watching him. If he does get away with Finland and does well, yeah, again, that's another concern, because if he goes to the Euros and stands out, how difficult is it to try and keep a hold of somebody like that, Scott Kerr?
I think Kamara and Barisic are the two players I feel may leave.
Right.
Just because I think maybe want to try the English Premiership or maybe abroad. And I do think that's in them, because Glenn's had that experience with Arsenal. Borna plays with Croatia and sees different players in the team playing with different clubs like Real Madrid and such. I'm not saying he's going to go there, but after in the league and stuff, myself leaving a high, get a wee bit more money, but I'll go to maybe a more competitive league. But other players, I hope Ryan Kent stays. I know he's been rumoured about leaving. I hope he stays. I think Ryan Kent offers us something we've not got. I know he gets a bit of criticism with some Rangers fans, you see, but to me, he's a player I would never drop just because of what he can offer. He can turn the game for you in a heartbeat. So I think it'll be difficult in the summer. I think we will bring players in, and you always see linked with players like players for Scotland. I don't know. I think sometimes we link with players who aren't good enough for us anymore. It was different back a couple of years ago. You linked with maybe Lewis Ferguson, that you think he can maybe improve it. Same with Greg Dockett at the time, but we're past that stage. We look at the quality we've got now. You need to go for better. You don't want to go for the same. You want to go for better. So it'll be interesting to see what Ross Wilson and the manager does to bring players in.
Stevie, just coming to you with a kind of slightly different point. Is this summer more important about bringing in guys who are going to play in the first team, or is it adding that quality and depth for the squad?
It's a tough question. My go-to answer would always be, and I think probably the easiest answer is to add to the first 11, and then it's a domino effect down, and do it that way. That would be my go-to, and if we can do that, great. But I know how difficult that must be, because at times the quality we've got there as well, and in the budgets we play in, it's hard to actually get a higher quality than that that's going to come in and instantly impact your team, really, I find at times. So it's a tough one. It's a balancing act. There's probably Ross Wilson and that are probably looking for a few windows ahead, and they're trying to get a few young players in at the same time, but also you're always looking for maybe that one or two players really that can come in and really have an impact on your season and going forward. That would be my hope, and then also doing things like tying people like Kamara down in it if we could, and that would be my hope, if we can get a couple in that could go straight into the first team. Fingers crossed.
Scott Young, do you think it's possible that we might have to sell somebody before we potentially spend what you consider good money, maybe £3 or £4 million on a player?
No, I think we're in quite a good financial place at the moment. Obviously,
Right.
get last 16 Europa League. Obviously, the pandemic hasn't helped,
Mm.
but last 16 Europa League, a lot of TV money through that, and obviously win the league. Obviously, get money through that, and obviously the new Sky Sports deal came out. Scottish football has been a massive income boost for all the teams, including us. So I don't think we need to sell to buy, but I think it depends on who we buy as well. I think my top priority would be a new midfielder as a Ryan Jack cover. I've seen
Right.
this season, Ryan Jack has been when Ryan Jack's not in the team, we do see ourselves weaker in the middle of the park, especially if someone like Aribo plays who doesn't have the same defensive presence, and maybe also a out and out right winger, because we sort of play with 2 10s, but if we want to switch it up, we do need a winger. I don't think Aribo's a proper out and out winger.
Yeah.
So I think we need a proper out and out right winger as well as a number 8 Ryan Jack cover. That'd be my 2 top transfer targets.
No, mate, I think that's fair enough. I think there's definitely, it's going to be an interesting summer. I don't really know what's going to happen, but I do think it'll be tough to keep a hold of the whole squad again. I think it's basically because of how well players could potentially do at the Euros, and also potentially the money that could be an offer from some clubs. Because for all we want to keep guys at the club, and obviously we want to see has been successful, if somebody comes in and offers silly money for somebody, it's really difficult to then turn that money down, knowing that we could put that back into the team again. And given how well we've signed over the last 18 months in particular, you know, we clearly have a great degree of quality there being looked at by the scouts. I mean, Hadji, for instance, just came out of nowhere. And like you look at Giannis, I mean, he's made a big difference this year with his goals and assists. If you could find another 1 or 2 of that kind of quality at that age and add that to the squad, I just think that would be a phenomenal summer business for us if we could do that. Okay, we're just going to finish up looking at the St Johnstone game, obviously Wednesday, because that was the main part of the pod. Come to each one of you and ask you for a starting 11 and then the final score. Right, Scott Kerr, I'll come to you first.
Starting 11.
I know it's
I'll
tough,
probably-
mate. I know it's never easy because you don't know, but if you're
I'll probably,
going to
obviously,
change, what
I'll
would
go with
you change?
McGregor. I'll go with McGregor in goals. I don't think he'll get dropped. Right back, it's going to be Tav. I think the other 3 are going to be the same as today. Because I don't think Balogun's fit. I'm not sure. Midfield, I think he'll drop Davis, but I'll go with Kamara Arfield, and I think he'll maybe just bring back Aribo.
Right.
Yeah, and I think he'll put in Giannis, Roof, and Kent.
Right. And what's the final score?
2-1 to Rangers.
Right. Okay. Scott Young, what about yourself, mate? The starting 11 and the final score?
I'd probably go McGregor, Tav, Goldson, Hollander, Barisic, and then probably midfield, I'd go Arfield, Kamara, probably Hadji in the middle of the park.
Right. Okay.
And as a front 3, I'd go Wright, Roof, Kent.
Oh, here's a few changes in there. And what about the final score?
I'll go 2-0 Rangers.
Right, Stevie, mate, you're the last man up. What do you think?
I'll match the same back 5 as the guys. So McGregor,
Right.
Tav, Golson, Hollander and Barisic. Midfield, I agree. I think Davis is probably a good shout for drop. To be rested, probably should say, not drop. But
Yeah.
he doesn't deserve that, does he? But I'd probably go with Arfield. Who else in midfield? Maybe Aribo and Kamara in midfield, and then up front I'd like to see Wright. I'd actually like to see Itten. I don't know if any of the guys mentioned Itten, but I'd like to see Itten start up front, and I don't know, Roof as well up front with him. I'd just like to see Itten get a bit more of a chance, a full 90 minutes, to be honest.
What about the final score for you, mate?
I'll go 3-0 with Itten first goal scorer if we're doing that as well. I don't know.
No, mate, I like
Sure.
the confidence.
What's yours, Wally?
What's that, mate?
What's yours?
Oh, well, I think the back 5. I think the back 5 picks itself, because if Calvin and Nathan get banned and it sounds like Leon's still injured, no offence to kind of James Simpson, but I don't know if he's ready yet. You know, 'cause we've only seen wee glimpses of him. The midfield 3, I think it's probably going to be Aribo, Kamara, and Arfield, because I do think Stephen. I think you do need to protect Stephen at times. I mean, like today he was outstanding. I mean, I didn't think he still had that agility to score that kind of goal. So it shows you, you know. And I agree. I think we need to see Scott Wright for the start. I think the kid's done enough whenever he's come on, or when he started the cup tie. I think he deserves a chance. and I think it would be fair for Itten to get an opportunity, and I wouldn't be against having Kent on the bench. Because I think, as we all agree, yeah, look, we want to go undefeated this season in the league, but if we can rest up maybe 4 guys who played a massive part to get ahead of the cup tie, I do think that is more important. And I fancy is 2-1. I do think it would be a tighter game if we make changes. It's obviously hard to foresee what they're going to do, because if they were to make changes as well as us, it could turn into a bit of a training game. But look, at the end of the day, when the league's already over, is it really a bad thing that the clubs are maybe going to change it up a wee bit? I don't think it is, and I don't think you could criticise them for it either, because the priority now is the cup competition, and the fact it's so condensed over a short period of time, it's really difficult to not take that opportunity to give guys a rest. So let's wait and see what happens on Wednesday night with the squad. We'll probably all be wrong, and they'll probably put out exactly the same 11. Right, just want to thank everybody for tuning in. Thanks very much for listening to us. Hopefully we get another positive result on Wednesday night. I'm sure Martin will arrange the live match reaction, all being well. And then we'll obviously let you know if we're going to be doing a reaction and a preview for the cup game, depending on when it's going to be played, etc. I don't think that's been confirmed in terms of the time. But once that all comes out, we'll let you guys know. Thanks very much. Cheers. Bye.